Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry if in today's video I seem a bit congested and just, all over the place. I thought I was getting better, but evidently not. Anyhow, we have Anti-Venom deep dive video where we can pretty much see his entire kit. We are missing a few details, but we actually get to see some gameplay, so there is that upside. So Anti-Venom is going to be Science Champion with very sick animations and definitely plenty of fan following to boot. Now, he will have access to many different debuffs, which is something that I like. He'll have Petrifies on level 1, he will have Spectre that he will be gaining organically as the fight goes on. Then he will also have Disorients, which are relatively weak though, same as Spectre. And then he has the better version of Slow. We're going to get to that. And he also will have Rupture on level 3 and Staggers on heavy attacks. So that's quite a lot of different debuffs to have access to. So needless to say, he will be able to reverse healing, reverse power gains as well in some situations, interact very well with Despair in itself. And that's kind of like the common trope for the Science Champions. He has Incinerate and Poison immunity, and he also has a very similar mechanic to Black Widow Clairvoyant, where you have 3 modes, basically: Spectre, Disorient, or Slow Down, or Deaccelerate, or however it is called. And you're going to be switching in between them by landing a second medium, and then every time you reach a combo of 10, you place a debuff, one of those 3 debuffs on opponent, depending on which mode you are in. So that seems like a fairly, already used and seen mechanic, how Champion's core utility works. And I do like the fact that you do not have to finish a combo. You can just go medium, and you can switch. It doesn't say like land a 5-hit combo and stuff like that. Any champion that says to finish a 5-hit combo has a lot of nodes and a lot of opponents where that is a very tricky thing to do. I like that he doesn't have to do that. Moving on, his level 2 is the high damage special, and he will be able to put up some very good numbers, and afterwards even some huge mediums and huge lights, because he gains fury. He consumes all of the debuffs with his level 2, and then he gains fury for each, and it looks like it's fairly potent fury. Now the downside to this is obviously, because consuming all the debuffs, you also consume all the utility that you have worked to build up. So we'll see how practical it is, but I'm not a huge fan of the idea that pretty much all of the damage lies behind level 2. There is quite a long ramp up to him. Like in ideal longer matchup, you need a level 3, level 1, then a level 2, and then another level 1 or level 2. It's an entire system, entire thing, and champions like that typically don't succeed too well. We need results, and we need them fast. We can't wait till we get to level 3s and level 2s and stuff like that. But we'll see how it works out once we dive deeper in his abilities, and obviously once we actually get to play with him. But there is the potential for bigger numbers. It is worth mentioning that his base damage did look quite bad though, which is my biggest worry. Alright, so let's start. So as I said, he's immune to Incinerate and Poison, which seems to be a fairly popular set of immunities to give champions recently. Like we had Penny Parker with that Incinerate Poison immunity, had Venompool who can gain those immunities, and so on and so forth. So those immunities seem to be kind of like the most common ones these days that are being given out. Also, during the opponent's special attacks, Anti-Venom gains 40% defensive combat power rate per debuff on the opponent. Now, I didn't like this ability initially, because normally your job is to try and evade opponent's special attacks, but thanks to his signature ability, that can actually have offensive use as well. I am a bit worried about the defensive potential of this, because it could be very annoying that if you have plenty of debuffs placed on you due to some nodes in, some quest or alliance where you drop a special attack, and then opponent all of a sudden gets to 2 bars of power or 3 bars of power. So that is an interesting mechanic to have. Thanks to the signature ability, it can have some offensive use as well, so I'm kind of okay with that, because it's not strictly defensive ability. Also, we need to take a look at genetic memory. So when the fight starts, Anti-Venom inflicts an indefinite Clintar debuff, and if this debuff is removed, it comes back after 15 seconds. Note, 15 seconds is actually quite a long amount of time. If the opponent is suffering from the Clintar debuff, for every 10 hits in the combo meter from either champion, Anti-Venom inflicts the selected genetic memory debuff from the list below. Max genetic memory debuffs are 4. So it's kind of like a void when you fight against. It's kind of like a void / reverse void, but anyways, as you hit the opponent, you're basically going to be building up these debuffs depending on which kind of stance you are in. Spectre debuff, reduce regeneration by 16.666%. Keep in mind that if you have max despair, that is effectively like 30% regen reduction, so it's not too bad. Now we have disorient, defensive ability accuracy and block proficiency by 12.5%. Now that disorient is quite useless, because if you can get 4 in a typical scenario on, that's still only 50% reduction. So yeah, it's shit. It really is. And we have deaccelerate, lowers evade and unstoppable ability accuracy by 33%, but it doesn't have the weakness of slow. So effectively, it's pretty much 1/3 of a superior slow, if you will, because you can get up to 3 of these on, and then, you know, opponents have 99% chance not to evade or be unstoppable, which is cool. And since these debuffs can be permanent and are permanent in nature, that, you know, makes them quite reliable and useful. But obviously, yeah, the fact that you need to land 3 of them, and typically that means to have 30 hits on combo meter. So we'll see how it works out, but I am quite happy with that deaccelerate. The one thing that I don't like about it, that it kind of feels like it's directly meant for Alliance War, because now we, for the first time ever, have a defensive tactic that kind of punishes you for having slow. And this is all of a sudden a fresh new debuff that's suspiciously similar to slow, but isn't called slow. So, you know, whatever. Let's just move on. Let's just move on to the Clintar debuff. Clintar debuff reduces physical resistance by 550, and I do like that. That means that every single hit on the opponent is gonna hit harder because they have reduced physical resistance. So very good. Very neat little damage buff to be had. Also, Spider-Verse heroes reduce their ability accuracy and evade effects by 100%. That's perfectly fine. That's in line with the rest of the symbiotes. And Mystic champions reduce the ability accuracy of unblockable by 65%. At 30 hits in the combo meter from either champion, increase to 100%. Now, I don't know how useful this is. And if it comes to science champions countering Mystic champions, we have far better options. You know, I don't think that many Mystic champions are or go unstoppable, and if they do, it's definitely not the main issue in that fight. So I don't know, that Mystic ability feels like a bit of a fail here, kind of like a worthless add-on. Heavy attacks inflict a stagger that lasts for 10%. Staggered opponent has their next buff nullified, max 2 stacks. Now that I do like. Science champion with staggers, not bad, especially on heavy attack, and you can keep accessing them, you know. I do like that. Obviously, he's not going to be as effective when it comes to nullifying opponents' buffs as most of the Mystic champions, but still, the fact that it is there, additional kind of dimension of utility. So special attacks, personal passives are paused during special attacks. Special 1, if not already active, gain an accelerated mutation passive, causing Anti-Venom to inflict an additional genetic memory debuff for 15 seconds. Triggering accelerated mutation also refreshes the evolved mutation passive. And we're going to talk about that when we get to level 3. If accelerated mutation is active, all hits deal a burst of 1300 physical damage. I don't know how this is going to scale exactly, but basically you get more damage. First hit inflicts a petrify debuff, reducing the potency of the power gain and regeneration effects by 40%. So 40% petrify on level 1 for 20 seconds. That's quite a long duration. We do not have ability descriptions for level 2 and level 3 from this deep dive, but the gist is that you consume all your personal debuffs that you have on the opponent, and you convert them into fury that lasts 20 or 25 seconds. So it does look to be fairly potent fury, and you know, you're going to be able to deal decent amount of damage. It is not said whether that level 2 has any extra abilities besides taking your debuffs and converting them into Furies. I don't think it was there, but you know, that is basically your high damage special attack at level 2. And level 3 activates your evolved mutation, and it increases the potency, I believe, on your Furies and possibly on your debuffs, but the main thing that it does, it lets you get up to 8 genetic mutation debuffs on opponents, so you kind of double the limit, and obviously by extension you can get more Furies with your next level 2. Now on top of that, it also inflicts a rupture. That's not the most potent rupture, but it is yet another debuff, you know, so it kind of helps. So the rotation itself, as it was explained in all the longer fights, is get to level 3, drop a level 1, and then get level 2. That is quite a lot. That is like 6 bars of power. And I'll be honest, no champions with that rotation as a base really get used as meta. If you think about Alliance War, Alliance Quest, Alliance questing in general, we don't play champions that have 5 plus bars of like, you know, build up. Now, perhaps that increased power rate on blocking special attacks can be helpful with that, and there is a way how you can go for a couple of level 1s and then go for level 2 and still end up getting decent amount of damage, but it's still 4 bars of power. If you want to do 2 level 1s and then a level 2 and then finish the fight, it's still 4 bars of power. And again, you can look at champions and like Iron Man Fintivur with very poor damage at the start until you get at least 3 bars of power, which is level 1 and level 2. And we already consider that to be a slow thing. Or like Guardian. Guardian's shortest rotation is level 1, level 2. And that often is not good enough. Let alone if you have to get 4 or 6 bars of power. So I do have my reservations about the practicality of this champion in majority day-to-day situations. I do think that there is plenty of quality and utility hidden in there, and he might be like a bit of a specialist champion when it comes to it. But when it comes to like Alliance Quest, generic questing, stuff like that, I definitely have my doubts so far. Let's move on. Anti-Venom gains a passive regeneration stack that recovers 65% of the attack damage taken from a non-critical hit over 20 seconds and is interrupted if Clintar debuff is purified. So that is a very nifty kind of thing. So long as opponent doesn't crit on you, you get fairly solid amount of regeneration. And it activates on block as well, so you can recover block damage, plus, you know, you can use Recovery Mastery that can push it even further. So I do like that. That's going to give him decent amount of sustainability and ability to eat some cheap damage. So personal debuffs potency is increased by 10% for every 10 hits in the combo meter from either champion. Non-personal debuffs are increased by 5% for every 10 hits in combo meter and caps out at 50 hits. So 10% for 10 hits, so you can increase personal debuff potency by 50% and other debuffs by 25%. You know, it's kind of neat. It's good. Definitely doesn't hurt, but you know, it's hardly game breaking. But the regeneration is quite nice. And then we can see that, you know, with 8 Furies, this seems to be a rank 4 or rank 3 6-star, and that's a 15k light crit. So, you know, that's not bad, but at the same time, we already can see that with 72 hits in the combo meter there, and, you know, the Rhino is still alive. And here we can go with a 24k medium, so there will be damage potential for sure. The question is how quick you can access it and whether it's going to be quick enough for us to actually use that character. Which, you know, as I said not long ago, I do have my doubts on. Let's look at the synergies real quick. So he has synergy with Punisher, where he, against villain opponents, you gain 30% Fury potency, which, you know, would be quite helpful in longer fights. And Punisher gains 30% offensive ability accuracy against villains, you know, neat. It's definitely not game-changing. Anti-Venom with Green Goblin, Clintar and genetic memory debuffs are not affected by ability accuracy reduction. So, you know, that's nice, can be situationally helpful. But again, it's Green Goblin. Nobody's really going to use it most of the time. And Green Goblin actually gets quite cool boost, because you can be able to inflict more incinerates on your level 2s and stuff, but you know, again, it's Green Goblin. This sucks. Agent Venom, similar thing, you know. Not a game changer synergy for either of the champions, but it's Agent Venom. He sucks. Inflicting a genetic memory debuff deals a burst of 40% of modified attack and physical damage. There you go. But you know, that's every 10 hits, 40% of modified attack. It's not all that powerful. Agent Venom gain 10% power anytime a debuff is purified. This could be fun in some fights. It could be fun, like against you know, energy adoption nodes or something, but you know, it's Agent Venom. It's not gonna make him good. These synergies are arguably the best ones here, though. Spider-Man 2099 and Dr. Octopus. Time Travelers. For the first 10 seconds of the fight, the opponent cannot gain buffs. That synergy, that is a benefit for Anti-Venom. I like that. I like that a lot, especially if you use it against champions that start the fight with several buffs, and those buffs are important to them. Like, frequently you can do that against, you know, Venom or Silver Surfer or Red Skulls and so forth. It can be quite an effective way how to nullify a whole bunch of buffs at the very beginning of the fight. So I do like that synergy a lot, to be honest. I think that's my favorite one of the bunch. Spider-Man 2099, on the start of the fight, inflict Wither debuff on the opponent, reducing ability power rate by 125% for 15 seconds. But that's not all Wither debuff does. Wither debuff enables Spider-Man 2099 to have a guaranteed ability to place ruptures whilst hitting opponent's block. And, you know, this, again, is really helpful for Spider-Man 2099. It's just the question is whether we will be using Spider-Man 2099 for much. But ultimately, it is a really, really good synergy. It really speeds it up. And this is a type of synergy that I wish more champions would have, where you have your level 2 effect, move to a synergy, and you have an immediate push for a starter fight. For a faster fight. Sorry. I don't know what I'm saying sometimes now. Dr. Octopus, when dealing damage per breakthrough removed on heavy attack, 25% chance per breakthrough to inflict another burst of damage, dealing attack rating in the damage. You know, that's neat. That's more damage. And, you know, if you set yourself up right, you can spam those heavy attacks and, you know, could be quite helpful. I do like that synergy for Doctor. And the last synergy, I think, is with Venom and Carnage. Symbiote opponents have the ability accuracy of their buffs reduced by 50%. This is a shit synergy if I've ever seen one, because, well, it's only against symbiote champions. It's only 50%, and, you know, it's only half effective against, like, half of them. So it's not a good synergy. It really is not a good synergy. It's like, oh no, Venom is not going to gain a Fury buff. Wow, what are we going to do? And then Venom and Carnage regenerates 15% of max health when knocking out Spider-Verse heroes. You know, it can be neat. It's hardly game-changing. So, there we go. So, synergy-wise, I don't think he has drawn the jackpot. I think this one is the best one for pretty much all the champions involved. I think the rest of them are pretty trash with trash champions, which is not a good thing. When it comes to the champion itself, utility potential is definitely there, 100%. And damage potential is definitely there, 100% as well. The question is how he's going to play, how viable he's going to be in actual situations, in Alliance Quest, Alliance Wars, or whatever else. And I already do have my doubts. Whenever I do see a champion that's cursed with a low base damage, and has to go like level 3, level 1, something like that, I immediately, part of me just dies on the inside. Because those champions hardly ever get used. We have so many fantastic champions. And it's just not feasible. It's not practical. Like, you're not gonna bring in a champion where you need to go to level 3, level 1, level 2. If you can bring a champion like, I don't know, Ghost, where you get to level 2, drop level 2, finish the fight. Why would you bother? And people don't, and that's the thing. And, you know, all the power to the designers. A lot of abilities are very, very cool. But until we get there, when we understand that there has to be an immediate value, an immediate use for the champion. Not after a level 2, not after X, Y, or Z conditions are met. We'll see. Anyways, let's hope that, you know, his strong sides will offset the weak sides. And let's hope that he makes for a fantastic addition to the game. Let me know what you guys think, and I shall catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about